right, you have read the name of the video. I'm talking about Rise of Skywalker, and I'm playing Stellaris. Now, I have not played Stellaris since, I think, before they introduced artifacts. I saw in the dev diaries that they're like, oh, we're going to introduce artifacts to make the early game more interesting. I'm like, you know what? I am out. I was out. Simply because Stellaris just keeps getting more complex. It was a fun game. I played it with the guys, and we would just pal around and chill on Fridays or Saturday nights and play it and cooperate and bitch about it and talk about our weeks. And it didn't require that much work. And now it's become so complicated, man. Like, we're just trying to have beer and pretzels and conquer the galaxy, Nothing challenging, just enjoy ourselves. I'm making cats, and the reason I'm making cats is because I'm going to play this game for Rise of the Skywalker, because space, and also cats, because cats. So I'm trying to see if they have, like, a decent cat-like name for Stellaris. I don't know if they do or not, honestly. But, I wonder if there's a mod. I wonder if there's a mod that has that, because that would be pretty flippin' sweet. Be way better than anything I could... Because I want to make it, I want to enter it, but I would like, occasionally for Old Deuteronomy or Rum Tum Tigger to pop in and just be like, a scientist that's giving me problems or some stuff. I think it'd be nice. I'm going to look for a mod right quick. Please ignore whatever else you might see on my desktop. I don't know what's in here. I do some side projects, so that I don't really talk about, as Van Velding. So just forgive whatever's in my search completion, or my file setup. Usually, whenever I draw episodes of the beige and the bold, like my file structure's in there, and my sphincter tightens slightly. Regardless, though, things aren't looking too good for the cats naming mods. But Rise of the Skywalker. So, first off, I've got these notes. I take notes out while I watch the movie. It's part of how I stay engaged. Part of how I remember things. I review the notes afterwards. And it really increases my retention of the movie. And my enjoyment of the movie. I can talk about the stuff I want to talk about. Recently I've been watching with friends. I'm like, I want to be real negative about it. So I've kind of kept it to myself, and usually I make a blog about it. I did type it up, so I am going to have some notes that I'm reading from that are going to go up on my blog, and it's a combination of what I noted while I was in the movie and a little bit of post-movie stuff, and I've added it so that maybe if you didn't see Rise of the Skywalker, or if you're not sure, it came out like a month ago, you can be like, oh, hey, this is the general gist of the movie, and make your own judgment from there. Cats are rapid breeders, I think. Quarrelsome, sedentary, I think is fair. And I was afraid I might end up with more negative traits than positive traits. Kind of do want adaptive. So that way they can live in a bunch of different places, They can just be like different cats that live in different parts of the world and stuff. Right. And anyway, let's talk about previews first. I think the Egyptian's the name of the place in Cats where they do the thing, right? The Egyptian, I assume it's London because it's Victorian. Previews. So we got like 30 seconds of theater ID, and then we got now our ad for the theater subscription service. I'm really tired of subscription services in general. The first preview we saw was Barb and Star do whatever. It came across as really obnoxious. I think the cats are dictatorial. I think Old Deuteronomy runs things, and I think Xenophile cats, they accepted outsiders. They're spiritualists because they believe in carousel, the chandelier-based carousel. I think that's fair. It's always frustrating to go xenophile in Stellaris because that means automatically your neighbors are xenophobes, which means diplomacy is harder, and like your whole build is anyway. Exalted Priesthood, I think, is appropriate. I think that's probably going to be good for them because they have old Deuteronomy, and there's a lot of religious overtones to the stuff that they're doing with Carousel, which is just what I'm going to call it now. Life Seeded is interesting because it implies that, all the humans died and the cats are left over. But why am I going to get, adaptive and life seeded? Also, the Philosopher Kings give my leaders extra levels, I think. But fleeting makes it very hard to have leaders because they're going to die quickly. I don't know what to take. So the deal is that one of the two, Barb or Star, is played by Christian Wiig. And I like Christian Wiig. It feels like an SNL skit made into a movie. SNL skits are they're like sprints, right? They're like Gimli. They're good over short distances. And this feels like it's been stretched over, the run of a whole movie. And again, I've only seen the trailer, but that's what I feel like. And all respect to Kristen Wiig, she is great. It is hard to find a good leading role for her. I think the more she gets into that Christian Shaw type of niche where she stands out, I think she's better at that. But whenever you put her into something that I appreciate her more in, it's a much more sedate, rolled back, less intense role. Like, I loved her in Ghostbusters. I think it's great. I think that if the Lord had descended from on high and made people act like adults and possibly written something good for Leslie Jones, and maybe we would be having a Ghostbusters sequel right now. But instead we're going to have Ghostbusters 3B. But as far as Barb and Star, though, that's going to be a no for me, dog. 1917, a prequel to Saving Private Ryan, I guess. It's going to be a new James Bond. I mean, it looks like James Bond is going to be joining the gig economy. There's a hot new star as the villain, and a rising baseline in your trailer does not necessarily make it dramatic, There's no cat paws, which I guess is reasonable. I'm going to take this desiccated bone claw and go with it that way. Free Guy, I like Ryan Reynolds. I want to see something more organic to the concept. I don't want here's a story about a special guy who breaks the mold, becomes the chosen one, who improves the world with violence and then fucks a girl. Like, I have seen that movie hundreds of times. I am sick of it, and you should be sick of it. I read Mogworld by Yahtzee Crusher, and that was pretty good. It looks way better than whatever Free Guy is going to be. Top Gun, the unnecessary sequel. Jesus. I think I said everything I had to say in the Free Guy bit. I mean, the removal of the Taiwanese flag from Maverick's jacket says everything. Everything the space plane doesn't. After the reptilian executives who commissioned the committee that wrote this thing get their millions of dollars, maybe we will get some decent hotshot sequels that laugh at this bullshit. It's ridiculous. They're gonna put Maverick in a space plane. Jesus Christ. Wonder Woman 84. Kristen Wiig is in this, and she's playing something more sedate and rolled back, and she looks great. And also, I know that guy's at Nathan Fillion, but he looks like Nathan Fillion. I got this note from Future Me that says, did they ever find a vehicle for Chris Pine? No, Future Me, they didn't. They came real close. Here's the plot, though. A guy makes a thing that gives people their wishes, and whenever they take the wishes, they owe him stuff, like he controls them. And so the wish he kind of grants Wonder Woman is to get Chris Pine back, and so she storms the White House for him, right? Because he's evil, and he made the dead boyfriend too perfect. So he's going to realize what's going on and sacrifice himself and turn to ash. And she is going to do the right thing and arrest not Nathan Fillion. 10% chance she kills him instead of arresting him. You know how movies are. Troll sequel. It's probably going to be great for the folks who like the first one. I'm doing a really small galaxy simply because I don't anticipate this game taking very long. I'm going to try to play this thing on max speed all the way through. I'm going to try to adapt whatever playstyle works with that. So win, lose, or draw, I'm going to try to avoid wars and micromanagement simply because I am not going to have the attention to focus on all of the things that I'm doing at once. I just want to get as deep into it as I can and kind of get the Stellaris thing out of the way. It's a fine game. I would much rather be working on Darkest Dungeon. I would much rather be playing a game I'm kind of good at and that's tense and that feels like it has some stakes. Stellaris is a bunch of management. I don't have fun with it anymore. Black Widow. Hey, speaking of things I'm not having fun with anymore, I hate that they're making Taskmaster into a run-of-the-mill Marvel villain. You know, translating comics, a serialized medium, into movies is an inherently, bullshitty thing to do because movies are inherently episodic. Like, there's a contradiction there. That's what we got now. We're just going to throw freaking villains into the wood chipper. Black Widow, sort of prequel movie. A several movies ago cool movie. Live action Mulan, pass. It's nice to see Rosalind Chow, the woman who played Keiko on TNG and DS9, getting some work. What's my planet looking like here? I forget what half these buttons do. There's a lot of buttons. Give me some fucking slack. Alright, I think I got plenty of housing right now. I don't think I have the people free to use that building slot. Mining districts give me stuff. So, yeah, I gotta look at my credits and see. I'm not quite financially there to build a second scientist, to man a second science ship, but I am gonna want one of those pretty quickly. Alright, so finally we're getting to Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, and it's the crawl, and it's explaining how the Emperor is involved in all of this shit. And I had literally forgotten that crawls are convenient expositional tools. They're very efficient. I like a crawl. There's nothing wrong with the crawl. It doesn't have to be limited to Star Wars. We can do it. We can do crawls in other movies, guys. It's fine. It is at exactly this point in the movie that I realize how much I have to pee. So then, okay. Alright, so I'm not trying to be like the guy who's really angry at Star Wars out of the gate. Like, I get that. I'm trying to have fun. I paid money for this. I think I paid money for this. And I want to have fun with it. I think I'm going to expect something of it. It's Star Wars. It's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be of a cut above other movies. So why is it that once the crawl is done and we have space in the frame, we pan down to Kylo Ren it's the part where he's flying, because it's a sequence where Kylo Ren is doing like a full renegade run on meth, and the first part of that is in space. So the crawl finishes and we're looking at space, and then we pan down to more space. Okay, you don't pan from space you pan from space to planet, right? Because you're moving to a different place. We go from crawl, right, blackness of space, to planet to say, hey, establishing shot. And it's all going to happen with space in the background, so you might as well pan efficiently, okay? So when you're in space, what you can do is you have things enter the shot. Like, you get that. Things can enter the shot, because if the things are in space, then the things can enter the shot, right? You could even have that planet pan over and just rotate into frame against you could do that. It'd be really slow. I mean, this is J.J. Abrams, so it could be really fast. Who gives a shit? You can put the things in the frame if the things are in space. You don't have to pan. Okay. So Kylo Ren gets the holocron, and it's great because holocrons, they're things from the novels that are ubiquitous, and yet they're never seen in the film. So it's great that they're using that part of the lore. It's a real treat. And he uses the holocron to navigate through the Murder Nebula to get to the Thunderstorm planet, where a fuck-off huge Sith fortress with Sith landing pads and Sith edifices and Sith statues and Sith Hellraiser hospitals are. And I'm like, on day one of the Republic, on day one, did you guys not subpoena the records of Secret Lair Builders LLC? They're like, okay, so we know the Empire built hella secret shit, and we need the records of all the construction projects you did on Death Planets and Murder Nebulas and Stellar Genocide Snails. And then we are going to send Spec Op forces led by Luke fucking Skywalker to clean that shit out. But instead, the first chancellor of the New Republic was like Joku Baidolan, and he's all like, we have to reconcile the racist, imperialist, genocidal faction within our New Republic and put the past aside so that the same shit can flare up the moment pluralistic democratic society falters. The stupid Italian talk. As the Emperor, the same Emperor, no, we don't know why. He continues to talk, kind of, you realize the fourth line of this movie is retconned exposition and damage control, so we know where it stands on The Last Jedi pretty early on. I don't think there's any reason not to buy a new scientist just as soon as you can in this game. That's like really important. So, sorry, I haven't checked my Empire Sprawl is obviously negligible. I just wanted to check on it. I don't even know the differences in how Empire Sprawl has been calculated since the last update, because like they change how these little things are calculated every time if they don't just rip the whole system out. I just want to make sure that I can think ahead a few steps. So we know where it stands in The Last Jedi. And as he goes on, he's using words I'm pretty sure are cut directly from Return of the Jedi. I wonder if this is a meat puppet and there's a guy in a Sith control room somewhere with an Emperor soundboard just hitting one of like 12 buttons. Good. Rule of the galaxy. Do it, young Skywalker. Jedi. The Sith. It wouldn't be that hard, right? It wouldn't be that hard to just have like a Sith clone and then just have like a guy just pushing the little... Anyway. Has Kylo looked at the Last Order balance sheets yet? I mean, I know the last movie asked us to look at the finances of insurgencies and military conflicts from idiotic and childish perspective of rich people pay for both sides in a war instead of rich people fabricate threats to get the populace to pay for unnecessary wars which they siphon off money from to make themselves wealthier. But not to get too far into The Last Jedi's pretensions, even that shitty model doesn't work in the situation where one side has RPGs on pickup trucks and the other side has a fucking Death Star. But maybe somewhere in the Last Order balance sheets it would explain what this lair is being fought. How the fuck? 1,000 Star Destroyers. Did you think, Emperor, to use these ships to save the old order, you raisin dipshit? Like, where were these ships in the Imperial Navy after Endor? Did they just lose the will to live? Because I know that happens in the third parts of these trilogies to people. And then we swivel to the Millennial Falcon. Get it? It's full of millennials now. It's easier. It's doing these courier missions for the Rebellion, which is eminently sensible. Let me pitch. I think I'm going to go for expansion here. I'm going for expansion because I want to expand. Usually I will go Discovery first to find things first, but it's a small galaxy. It's going to be full of dicks. And the first thing I want to do is to make a bunch of little cats. And to get cats everywhere. I'm built for it. I'm adaptable. I'm fast breeding. I'm just going to crank it up to 11, man. Look at the rates. 3.3 a month. That's pretty good, and I want to do better. Let me pitch a new story format, jumping off the last scene. Teaser, damage control from the last movie, Act 1, Act 2, epilogue that keeps the next movie from retconning this one. There you go, that's your new story structure. Whatever, we're doing light speed skipping now to get away from the Empire. I know it's the First Order, and I don't care. It's the Empire, fuck off, it's the Empire. So we're just doing light speed jumps into random planets at space velocities and not dying a whole lot. I hope it is the stupidest thing this movie does, but at sequence number 2, I'm feeling like it won't be. God damn. Oh, so now Rey is training and Leia has been training her. We know this because the movie establishes harder than the first national fucking bank. And we get actual flashbacks. Is there a button that we can press to skip these flashbacks? I do like that Leia is training her. This makes total sense. I don't question it. I know that this is a nitpick, but I think that Corellian Corvette landing in the Rebel jungle is kind of small. Like, are Corellian Corvettes? It just doesn't feel big enough. I don't know. I always got a bigger vibe off of them. Master Leia, that's nice. I like that she's Master Leia. This argument between Rey and Poe, it's nice. It is one of the scenes that we needed to make these two friends, because we're supposed to have like a new trilogy people, but like I feel like we haven't established it enough, honestly. God, a secret fleet that can attack all worlds, all of them, whatever. We couldn't do this before for reasons, but we can now just because, whatever. Are there no economics in the galaxy far, far away? Like, maybe I'm playing too much Stellaris, but like, economics are economics. I don't know how you build things without the means of production. We're just building ships now because we want to. Is that what the good guys are lacking? Nietzsche's a will to starships. The name Exegol for the Sith planet is also bad, but it's a C tier bad choice of this movie, so we're just gonna move past it. So our heroes want to break up and do different missions, and we're all like, Rey, you're going together. Did you see the last movie, Rey? We're not splitting up again. We're staying together. Except Rose, for reasons, I guess. Honestly, it's heartening that we're done with the failed rebellion of The Last Jedi. That said, it feels like the jungle planet here is going to bite it pretty hard in Act 2 or so. Just a hint. Temple, do I have the people? The timetable on that. 219. That's an odd number. Do I have a bonus for producing temples? Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, they took C-3PO and they left R2. I mean, why did they take C-3PO? Anyway, the traitor is, he's a redhead guy. Hux. It's him. I don't know why I think it's him. It doesn't make any sense because in this scene, Kylo Ren literally reads a mind, so we logically know it is impossible that anyone in this room is the traitor, but it's Hux. Hux is the traitor. So I'm just going to throw a coin into the evil and stupid jar, because whenever Kylo Ren's like, yes, the Emperor is going to give us all these cool new starships, this guy asks a reasonable question like, what does he want in return? And he gets a force choke for it. But, I guess we got to get a force choke in here because it's Star Wars. Now we're at the first part of our quest puts us in another fucking desert with another fucking rich culture. But this is sub-nitpicking, honestly. I'm bitching, okay? It's another rich culture from Star Wars. Thank God. We're looking for a traitor, I think. And I think he knows where the other holocron is. And the holocron knows where the Sith planet in the Murder Nebula is. So we take a brief moment to recap everyone's personal duties in the form of this festival. I think it's the Glad to Have a Family and a Last Name festival before Cowboy Lando shows up. So there's only 2 holocrons remain. We know this ostensibly because the other holocrons haven't checked into Foursquare. I'm not 100%, but I think in this scene, Rey gives Lando the green light to fly over to the Rebel planet and just get busy with Leia. And then we start doing some engineering, which, if I remember correctly, Rey is the engineer here. And also, I guess Rose is the engineer. And Poe's doing the engineer. I guess that's adjacent to piloting. And a chase scene breaks out, complete with the never underestimated droid line, which is eclipsed with the they fly now bit, which you probably saw in the commercials, which, while we're talking about core competencies, shouldn't that be not a surprise to Finn, who literally was a stormtrooper? Who's like, yeah, dipshits, they fly. They're always flying. We've always had land speeders with little catapults on the back to shoot flying dudes. Maybe the best dialogue we could do was borrowed from Joss Whedon, and we should just accept that and move on with our lives. There's some pretty dodgy green screen shots here, and everyone falls in the stunt quicksand, and I'm the first to bring out that maybe I've sucked the magic out of my own movie-going experience with the waters made bitter with the herb of knowledge, but looks fake, though. So it's quicksand, like really, really quicksand, right? And they're all dying, and this would not have happened if they'd brought R2 along. Jeez, 300 energy. It's a lot of energy. So broke for energy this early in the game. Broke for influence, too. Saving up for that saint to get my I want my population growth up, and I want my unity growth up. And I would like to be small enough that I don't incur a unity bonus. Why are you not? Oh, right. I'm building the building slower than people are. Slower than people are populating. New colonies 1 pop. Influence cost reduced by 10%. That gets me pretty good stuff. Yeah, let's go for that reduced cost. If I can build every starbase with the reduced influence cost, I will take that shit. Oh, right. We are at the quicksand. If quicksand, which is a liquid-like, material, doesn't suffocate you, but if it instead drops you into a cave, what's keeping the quicksand up? What's keeping the quicksand out of the cave? It's fluid. It's fucking sand. Whatever. It's space geology. Free pass, okay? Only the failed rebellion could have found the impossible fast quicksand caves, though. Admittedly, a more competent Okay, I have a note that says here that R2-D2 would have stolen the hood ornament. I've forgotten the context, but I feel like that's true. And just forget the holocron guy. It's just a cool knife. It's a Sith knife, but it's a cool knife. Right. Do Jedi healing magic. Do Jedi healing magic on the sandworm. She did. It's great. Provided no one dies of an injury that could have been solved by Jedi. Oh, fuck. They're transferring life. That's now a cool Sith knife of Damocles hanging over the rest of this fucking movie. So these guys with Kylo, they're the Knights of Ren, and not the guys in the red from the last movie. Kylo, tell them what happened to the last Knights of Ren. Okay? That's why they brought C-3PO. They need to translate Sith language off a Sith knife, and they need him around to not be able to do that. They get on board the old ship, and one of them says, "That ship won't fly. Bitch, every event in these stories is driven by things that haven't done shit for 20 years. That ship will fly. Trust me." So here are the Knights of Ren just packed into that one TIE fighter like a college pizza run? Is that what's going on here? How did Chewie get caught? How did that physically happen? With these Star Wars Legos, J.J. Abrams, I want you to show me how Chewbacca got caught. The sequence where the TIE fighter runs down Rey, which you also saw in the commercials, I think it could have been like both of them making minor adjustments as they get closer instead of just sort of doing nothing. Also, Rey, you're an engineer. Use the Force on little parts to bring the ship with Chewie down. Like, chill, lady. This is stupid. You guys can't tug of war with something this small and kill Chewie, I guess. Fuck. Okay. All right. Where did that ship come from, guys? Why weren't those two unrelated, not cooperating prisoner ships with Kylo Ren? We have a Ren and Rey moment. Honestly, just fuck this. I'm not fucking... Also, how fucked is it that the treatment of light and dark in this movie is treated as whether you choose to drink white or red wine at the Force user's wine tasting of fate, instead of a decision about how you live every day that leaves everyone on a spectrum neither morally pure, but always redeemable, as I say I want to throw this whole dim-witted trilogy into a volcano. 2 impossible transports. Ships are being inserted and blown up and reinserted into this desert mesa with no establishment or consistency as a way to move characters around like balls and cups for some contrived drama and a few action pieces. I'm just not that into it. I mean, at least the failed rebellion has learned to fuck in an upwards direction since The Last Jedi. I mean, so they've gotten away from the Empire, but now they have a smaller, cuter droid that has found the smallest, cutest droid. And I assume that BB-8 says to what I assume is called A9. They're a little droid racist, bro, but they're okay. I'm going to try to, scan this local area. I got, 3 pretty good choke points. I'm going to try to see... Maybe want that administrative capacity, but probably the colonization fever. Because, I've got Navi over there, which is a pretty good colony I'm going to go for. And I'm going to set that up quick, and then I don't think I'm going to expand very quickly. I'm going to have a colony before I need to start worrying about my administrative cap. So I'm going to try to hit that colony bonus first. So right, so then we go to snowy Iraq planet, and there's a military crackdown. And they pass it off as the status quo, but the manpower alone to enforce it prohibits it being the status quo. You get that, right? The alternative is that the Empire got here first, and knew where our heroes were going, when the reason the rebellion is here is because Poe knows a robot guy who can translate the Sith from C-3PO's brain, and the Empire doesn't know about the mission, the Sith knife, the Sith holocron, C-3PO, C-3PO's anti-Sith programming, or Poe's roboticist friends. The Empire doesn't even take the Sith knife that Chewbacca has. The alternative is that they let the rebellion get to the Murder Nebula and then kill them in the Murder Nebula, or deploy the fleet of Sith Star Destroyers around the Sith planet. Okay, the only way to get these Sith translations that C-3PO recorded off of the Sith knife is to overwrite C-3PO's prohibitions on translating Sith by erasing his memory. And C-3PO hasn't backed up in a while, so it's going to be a big loss and a forever loss. If R2-D2 dies on the Rebel planet, then he's never going to get backed up. And that's honestly a fair trade. But I like that. There's consequences. Also, couldn't you just back up C-3PO right now? Like, he's here. You have a roboticist. Surely it's not like arcane technology to back up your 3PO unit. Anyway, while we're doing that, Poe's going to get a case of the not gaze while diet caffeine-free Mandalorian goes from wanting to kill Poe to sacrificing her entire future so that he and an organization she barely knows can get killed while not stopping the Emperor and his fleet of 1 million Star Destroyers. Alright, Chewie's alive. It's an event. Thank goodness. Finn, goddammit, be useful. Thank goodness he knows where the detention level is. And Rey is also on board the Star Destroyer. I feel like Rey could just take 5 minutes and get Chewbacca herself. So the rebels left snowy Iraq for the mobile oppression fortress hovering above it, and no one told Kylo Ren that a civilian ship left the surface. That seems important when you're looking for a person. Hey, it's that trope I hate, where the stormtroopers have to drop on Poe and they miss him entirely. It's time for a retcon vision. It wasn't Snoke connecting them after all. Forget The Last Jedi. I'm not gay for Hux, but he has like a sexual chemistry with everybody. I don't know what it is. He's just good at that. And it's, God, man, Slipshine presents Hux and Kylo in the most epic of hate fucks. Seriously, man. So it turns out that Rey is a Palpatine, and I knew it. I knew that no answer to Rey's paternity would be satisfying, and I was right. It's completely unsatisfying. So where did Kylo get his master's degree that lets him know what a Force dyad is? Because apparently he and Rey is one. And look, Hux is the traitor, and he gets anticlimactically killed by a guy whose role he could have served. Why is Hux suddenly incompetent, spiteful to the point of stupidity, and removed from the story by an older identical dude? Like, everything that dude does, Hux could do. There's no reason to kill Hux. They don't even redeem Hux. Hux doesn't even do the right thing because he's a good guy. He just hates Kylo Ren. That's it. I am so baffled. That's right, Rey. You jump on the Millennium Falcon. You are what you love, not who loves you. And so we somehow get our next clue. I don't actually remember how that went down, but we managed to read the Sith knife. And we crash land the Falcon on another, possibly different from Return of the Jedi, moon of Endor. And I'm glad we didn't spend 5 minutes saying goodbye to it, because that high-speed, no landing gear crash to the Falcon like that is a ship ender. They broke the Falcon, critically. Like, they didn't just, like, you can land the Falcon, but if you're going to compose a scene where the Falcon slides into a planet, crashing, then you've destroyed it. That's what you're trying to communicate there. But this is where the knife leads us, to find the final holocron, to find the Sith planet in the Murder Nebula, to find the U.S. budget deficit scale fleet of Sith Star Destroyers. I've been a real bitch about this movie, but I will accept the knife map and the 20-year stability of both megastructure wreckage and random moon seabeds. I'll take it. Also, I guess there wasn't an Endor Holocaust. Oh well. I mean, I found the math for the Endor Holocaust compelling. I kind of figured that wouldn't be canon, but here we are. These motherfuckers. You know how many impossible fucking space things you people have done in this one movie alone. How many impossible physics things you have done, but you can't surmount the impossible obstacle of choppy fucking seas. You can't do it. And I'm going to read this for what it is. A black lady former stormtrooper who rebelled against the First Order is forming a close relationship with Finn. Fuck this movie. Here's some heterosexual, normal pairings for you to ship, you deviant fans of this series. Ew, says J.J. Abrams. Fuck that guy. Okay, some of the green screens here are a miss. And Rey's taking a sailing ship across the choppy seas because she remembers those caves under the quicksand were impossible shit too, and the universe she lives in just doesn't give a fuck about consequences, so credit to Rey for figuring this out. I like that we're on Rey's home turf, the big-ass salvage, she's climbing around it. It's great, it's her home territory, she's at home here, it's great. So it's a callback to who her character is and where she comes from. If I'd thought about it during this movie, I would have realized that the evil Rey illusion that we saw in the trailers is just an illusion. Like, illusions in the trailer on promo materials are lies. Like, they're just lying. This movie lied to you to get you excited. It has contempt for you, this movie does. Props, though. Kylo Ren straight up crushes the MacGuffin instead of doing any cliche bullshit with it. Truly, this is where the rising Abrams meets the falling Johnson. It's off the table. We're done. We don't care about it anymore. Not going to clamor around. They're just going to lightsaber fight because they fucking hate each other. And bullshit, me call bullshit, for them moving outside of the much more interesting arena of the decaying ruins of the Death Star so that these two can fight on wreckage on top of the sea in the lower stakes reprise of the Mustafar fight from Revenge of the Sith. So I said Rey in this bitch, and Rey ended that bitch, honey. It is satisfying. And then R2. Hey, R2. Call life alert. Call life alert. The princess is dying from the plot using force erase. It's super effective, R2. Call life alert. He's not going to do it. So then Rey heals Kylo Ren. And why? Why, Rey? Him dying solves a lot of problems. If you thought he was redeemable before Rey, why did you stab him? If you think he's irredeemable now, why are you healing him? What changed Rey? Princess Leia died? I don't understand why these characters are doing things. Why is Han Solo a Force ghost? I mean, he's probably just a memory that Kylo Ren is having, but that's not a good narrative device to use in a setting that has Force ghosts. You get that, right? I think I may have found another habitable world over here. It's a little off the beaten path. Like, to get to Na'vi and Arrakis, I'd have to, like, snake around a little bit. More than I'm comfortable with me trying to keep my Empire sprawl low for the efficient use of my Unity. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're back at the Sith planet in the U.S. national debt levels of Sith Star Destroyers, all of which now have Death Star cannons, because fuck scale, fuck self-restraint. If this movie had a fourth act, we would learn that the Death Stars could destroy every atom in the galaxy at once. Of course they do. You said it, Poe. Perfect words, dude. So now we're doing the final loyalty quest before the Mass Effect 2 suicide mission. The Porgs are back so we can put them in fucking cereal boxes or whatever. Luke asks Rey what she's afraid of, and she is like, dude, I literally just said that, drinking the red wine at the Force Users Wine Tasting of Fate. Boomers do not listen. Boomers being the generation that blew up the Death Star, of course. Man, some things are stronger than blood, they tell Rey. Like most things. Like, watch your sugar intake. Some of the Emperor's monster face is from diabetes, Rey. 1,000 generations, which I think puts us 2-1 on some fucking obscure aspect of the lore I can't goddamn remember. Okay, so Rey, who's on Luke Skywalker Island, tore up Kylo's TIE Fighter and almost threw her lightsaber into the fire, and now she's got to go back in Luke's TIE Fighter from underwater and get the holocron, not Luke's TIE Fighter, Luke's X-Wing from underwater and get the holocron that Rey had to go to the murder planet and fight the Emperor alone. That's kind of where we're going. And then Kylo didn't bring a Star Destroyer with him to the moon of Endor like he did for everywhere else. And then Poe and Finn fixed the Millennial Falcon, which should be inoperable, and ran away back to the Rebellion. And Poe runs the Rebellion now, and they're planning an assault on the planet, even though I don't remember how they even can get to the Sith planet now. Maybe Rey told them. I know she eventually leaves like a trail for them to get through the murder. I don't know. But whatever C-3PO's memory is restored because no consequences, and we get an expository mission briefing with our MacGuffin list. Poe says that gluten-free vanilla Mandalorian taught him an important lesson about how when they call for help this time, people will respond, even though that exact thing failed in the last movie. Chewbacca then looks directly into the camera and says in perfect English, "Fuck the Last Jedi," before the mission briefing continues. Who's running the Imperial fleet of world-slaying Sith Star Destroyers, of which there are more of than atoms in the universe? There's a line about stealing more children, but honestly just raises more questions. Who's flying these... It'd be nice, since they're planning a ground assault, if they had the troop transports from Rogue One. I mean, I wish I was watching Rogue One right now, honestly. Maybe the Sith could conquer the galaxy if they focused more on conquering the galaxy and less on building giant fuck-off bases with galatorial stadiums. What are they doing? What do they do here? God damn it, Finn. It's not a ground invasion of a starship. It is a boarding action. You're a Marine now. Where is the Force Ghost of R. Lee Ermey telling us how to do this right? God. And I'm not insane. I know there were 12 rebels elect at the end of the last movie. Shut up, Chewbacca. Not to act like that snotty kid in the front row of your Time Travel 101 course, but just blow up the evil chair and see where that takes this prophecy. I mean, has Rey even seemed the slightest bit inclined to drink red wine? Has anyone gotten that impression from the last 3 movies? We've got an implicit setup for Luke's feat of clay that allowed evil to flourish and the Emperor's enthusiastic spread of evil. But if you think this movie is aware of that on any level, you're the one J.J. Abrams was thinking of when he made this fucking thing. The Emperor says he was waiting for you. Bitch, you tried to kill her like 10 times. All has proceeded according to my design. Do kids these days still buy that bullshit? Ugh, that's painfully heterosexual again, like even more. So, all of these Sith Star Destroyers have planet-destroying weapons, and they're around a Sith planet. Wouldn't it be better, albeit laden with heroic sacrifice and actual consequences, to board one, kill all of the Sith ghosts or child soldiers or whatever is staffing them, and then just use it to shoot the Sith planet? Oh, right. Do not fall into this temptation. Do Strong in a Real Way from Steven Universe. Sing it, Ray. Sing the Steven Universe song. I feel like we should have a flashback to Luke telling Rey, then he'll hold the entire rebellion assault hostage unless you drink the red wine and join him. Bush League stuff, kid. Don't fall for it. And J.J. Abrams, it doesn't matter how much you try to break me or what you do to this franchise. I will never join the Reylo side. I'm a Jedi storm pilot shipper, like my father before me. Or Finn, just use your Marines and take the ship and explode the Sith planet with the Sith planet exploder gun. Don't do anything else. Just, well. How did Kylo get here? He still sucks, by the way. How did he get here? Oh man. Poe's having a blue screen of death going, I'm sorry, you guys. I'll let you to die. I didn't see the second Star Trek movie that was produced under JJ's auspices, but he's doing the exact same thing. It's the 3rd movie, Poe. End of the character arc. Be a leader. The arrival of a fleet of civilian ships stirred into action by the charisma of Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca is stupid and unearned, but I will buy that Lando and Chewie could do it. Imagine Lando pouring a drink on a holoscreen projected across the entirety of whatever's left of the New Republic. Come on, baby. Inaction at this juncture in galactic events would allow for the return of the Galactic Empire. I've been there, and it's the least smooth thing possible. Imagine getting into your ship and flying through the Murder Nebula to fight a literally infinite number of Sith Star Destroyers. It's like sitting beside me on this Velvetanium Chase Lounge. Hard to do, but oh so worth it. I'd buy that. I'd totally buy that. It's just stupid and unearned. And then suddenly, for no reason, it's dawn on the planet Exticle. There's just no consequences for any of this. Like, you get that, right? Like, there's no consequences for anything that's happening here. People are dying all around us, and it doesn't matter. And I am forced at this juncture to ask, Emperor, have you copied your plan from Independence Day? No. Look, no one loves the lightning hands more than me. No one. When the Emperor lightning hands the entire rebel fleet, he is taking a prized symbol of evil and making it into a farce. He is ruining the cultural history of evil and lightning hands alike. And look, Rey, honey, I don't know what's happening at this point in the movie, but my notes say that I don't want you in this movie either, and I sense that you don't want to be. Yeah. And as a destroyer explodes the minute its planet-killing weapon is shot, the Emperor turns to me and goes, "Okay, I watched Independence Day a few times. It was the 90s. I don't think I copied it. I think I was inspired by it." So now the giant ideological fight between white and red wine has become a simple beam war determined by whatever ideas the plot wants to throw at us and therefore label more powerful, with the implication that that more powerful side is therefore more moral. Cool. Man, I'm on my fastest level and this thing is taking forever. Its colonization is taking a long time. Like, just to get the ship over there, taking forever. I hope my economy recovers once it's actually settled. And don't say it, bitch. You don't have to say it, Rey, baby. He can say, "I am the Sith," but you do not have to give in. You do not have to. There she goes, saying, "I am all the Jedi." Okay, alright, she's fallen. She's evil now. I mean, it's cool to see the resolution of a grand conflict between two organizations, the Sith and the Jedi, that we have barely ever seen, period, and have never seen contrasted. I assume this anticlimactic and frustrated emotion I'm experiencing is catharsis. And then Rey dies for, like, no reason. Technically, it's less time being in this movie, so I'll cheer it on for Daisy Ridley's sake. I'm just wondering, are the Sheevs and Amidala's re-elected? Like, what's the political situation on Naboo? Did their political dynasties continue under the Emperor? He couldn't have killed his whole family. Yes, this digression is the most intellectually riveting thing to consider right now at the climax of our film. Alright, so Kylo Ren uses Jedi healing to save Rey and kill himself. I did kind of skip over the part where, as a retcon for the way that the entirety of the Knights of Ren were put down like a bunch of bitches in a throwaway action scene in the last movie, the Knights of Ren are reintroduced so that they can be cut down like bitches in an action scene that can be easily thrown away in this movie. So Kylo Ren, he uses the Jedi healing to save Rey, and he dies himself, like, in a way that saves another person's. The selfless was set up well in the movie, and it's kind of redemption, and he dies somewhat redeemed. I'll give you that. Then they kiss in a movie that's branded as painfully heterosexual as possible. And he dies and gets out of this movie in a win for Adam Driver and a loss for Daisy Ridley. I'll be honest, we're doing our wrap-up scenes now. I laughed out loud when the Star Destroyer crashed over a pre-crash Star Destroyer over Jakku. I mean, it so effectively symbolized the pointless and cyclical nature of this universe and of these movies. It is good to know that the real ship was the hate shared between me, J.J. Abrams, and Rise of the Skywalker. We all hate each other and cannot be trusted in a room with one another where there's anything that can be used as an improvised weapon to shiv each other. So we're in full wrap-up mode, and we're in the jungle planet, which didn't get blown up, and we are setting the survivors on their courses from out here. More heterosexuality. Oh, look, guys, it's a gay... Oh, time's up. Time's up for the gayness. Final scene... hey, what's up? We're from the New Republic, and we're subpoenaing all of your records for work performed by the Empire. Work performed on behalf of the Empire or Sith LLCs or any subsidiaries of the same. Because that's literally how the New Republic should start, guys. And when you bury those lightsabers, don't forget to make a map, Rey. We're going to need it for the next awful trilogy. Rey who? Asks the old woman in the Tatooine desert. Rey Organa. Definitely Rey Organa. Yes, theater patrons clap. I too am happy this is over. God, so exhausting. It's just... I don't know how people made it through this movie. I really don't. I'm just going to sit down for the next, hour or so and let's talk about next 12 minutes or so. I'm going to talk about this fun game of Stellaris. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of going on automatic. Man, see, look how slow. I have the perk. I have the expansion perk that's going to let me build this thing. God, my science is awful, I think. I think my science might be bullshit. I know I haven't built any... I've barely built anything, though. Like, I'm just trying to get my basic needs met. I'm realizing that the smart way to do this is to kind of run a deficit until you're, like, negative. and then kind of like build up and that's when you're going to be hitting the negatives, you can kind of pivot and then start building up. And that way your resources are kind of focused for each like building phase. I think, man, I tried to watch a Let's Play of this game that taught me, but it was so boring because Stellaris is boring to watch, admittedly. So I've got my second science ship. On my to-do list is a third science ship so that I can continue exploring my local region, and I can send a deep space explorer. Because one thing I'd really like to do is to contact other civilizations. And this is a fairly small galaxy. So I think one deep space explorer could do a lot. One little run around the rim, provided it doesn't die, could connect me with a lot of different civilizations. I'm a xenophile, so if I get outside my local neighborhood, where guys are pretty much guaranteed to be xenophobes and not work with me, once I get out of that, I can make friends with people, and I can kind of find a way to diplomacy stuff and make use of I'm going to go just for the unity. Just straight up burning up unity, getting more of it earlier so I can get through this tree a little more quickly. So as I can work with someone else, I can work on defensive pacts and federations, and I can put all of my, not pacifists. I keep thinking I'm pacifist, but I'm not. I'm xenophile. All my xenophile ethics to good use. Which I'm eager to do. And I'm just worried about cohesion, I know that cohesion and fucking administrative capacity are two different things. They feel very similar. And I just don't want to get hit with pirates because I don't feel like militarily I'm all that strong. I'm not focused a lot on building alloys. I've got decent alloy production. I've got enough to build my space stations, which is nice. My constraining factor for space stations is influence, which I want to use to primarily keep my declared saint up so that I can keep my unity up. So I can't expand all that fast until my factions start popping up. And at that point, I'll hopefully have a freer hand to kind of meld what I push out within my administrative cap with what I can do for my cohesion. What are you doing here? I'm worried about my amenities. My amenities, the 13 isn't bad. Just a little worried about it. So I'm trying to think. Precinct houses gives me unity, which isn't too bad. But I don't know if I really needed to keep crime down. It would basically just be ancillary unity production. I might as well do hollow theaters. I think the hollow theaters would get they'd get the unity up, and they would get the amenities up that I need. I'm kind of on the wire in terms of positive production of food and consumer goods. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for consumer goods. So, because the consumer goods are going to feed into everything else. So I'd like to have a good base of those for whatever I do next. And going to explore the western reaches. I've explored my choke points. I kind of stopped at Zoltan simply because... Oh, hey, thanks, buddy. That's great map doing. That's a choke point. And I don't know what's beyond that. But I kind of have my expansion set for right now. And I can't go down 3 directions. So I'm going to just choose a basic east-west direction. And see where that takes me. Looking at my scientists. Yeah, do survey speed. Yeah, I'm not going down the discovery path for Unity, but I would like to survey a little more quickly. So I think I found... Oh, Walford. There we go. I seen Walford where that pop-up was for I found an enclave of whoever the crap. So hopefully someone who can give me Unity. I think is it the cultural guys? They give you Unity, or they give you something else? I think it's Unity. It's been a long time. Anyway. I'd like to pop around and hit Arrakis. I just don't know if I want to go through... If I go through Detherius and Voldox, it'll take a lot more influence and a lot more time. And it'll also pop up it'll pop down my unit cohesion because that's going to open up additional ties to Upsolth and Alfard, which I don't want to get because they're decent, but they're not decent enough. I would just be getting them for the cohesion. I don't want that. I'd like to get places for the resources. So Deuterius has decent resources. It's going to have Inigo's Vapor, I think. And then it's going to be a Voldox, which is a choke point, which is great. 8 minerals, which is great. Some alloys, decent science. And then I can get to Arrakis from there. And it's really not until I have this whole corner boxed up, all 9 of these planets boxed up, that I can kind of be happy with what I've got. Once I do that, I'll have 3 choke points. I'll have pretty good Empire cohesion. I'll have decent resources. It's just going to take a long time because my influence is so low. And just waiting for pops to grow, basically. I'm growing pops as quick as I can, dude. I think now is the time for my third science ship. Alcade's pretty good. I'm liking Alcade simply because I think it's a large world. And what are my things? Yeah, I'm not going to try to contact those guys. I'm going to let them contact me. I'm not going to sidetrack my meager science. And I get the influence for it. And influence is good. But I just don't think I have enough science to spare. I mean, yes, I want to influence. I'm not super eager to expand. Influence is my limiting factor, but I'm not eager to go to any of these places until I have my second colony set up, until I have some factions, until I can properly kind of expand at one go instead of expanding slowly enough that pirates have a chance to root in and flourish. Yet maybe I'm too concerned with that kind of stuff. But I would much rather... Yeah, that's all right. But I would much rather just try to expand, in a fairly smart pace. Not too fast, not too slow. But once I start committing to getting these other planets, the first of these last, 7 worlds? 6 worlds? I want to be able to get them in pretty rapid succession and just narrow my window of vulnerability to pirates and a loss of unity and things like that. So, almost done with the civilian industries. That'll take care of that joblessness eventually. That's weird. They shifted it into the order. And the artisan trope contacted me. Fantastic. Great news. So... how are we looking? Right, so I'd like to have like a laid back type of build where I'm not too big. I have some good diplomacy. I produce a couple things that are useful. I usually want to have good technology. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I may not need to go to war with somebody. I mean, I need to have either good industrial capacity, good technology, or good standing fleets to avoid war. And I don't know if I'm going to build the industrial capacity to do that if I'm just focused on cats. I mean, eventually I can pivot from production to, industrial capacity, but I just don't think it's going to be hard to do. I might need to do it just through conventional standing armies. I don't know. I don't know how many other empires are in this galaxy, and I absolutely do not know how many of them are just going to be out to freaking kill me. I mean, I assume it's not going to be like too many murder factions out here, just because the odds are pretty small. Like I don't think they specifically have to spawn in a set number of murder factions per galaxy or per empire or whatever. I think it's just roll the dice. So I mean, advanced empires, yeah. What's the other one? The fallen empires, yeah. Fallen empires, yeah. Probably a few of those are bound to spawn. So I don't know what the setting for that was. But all right, this guy's freed up. Let's send him out to explore. I got Alcade explored. I feel good about that because that's like a line of my choke point, so I can just take that choke point and kind of push it down that line as much as I need to get good planets. Like Polystea is a decent trade. Olive K, decent trade. Good minerals. I mean, I'll take it, you know. It's good. I don't know, it's a fun game. I mean, even at fastest level, it's not very riveting, though. Just slowly exploring this cluster. It'd be nice to get that second cluster, but I'm going to write it off right now because... Oh, an abandoned gateway. It's nice. I know about those now. Ooh, there's a planet. Continental planet of moderate size. A little important. So, gateways. That's good. I'd like to get that... Oh, and a more differenter gateway. In the... Oh, right. Black hole. Naturally. Black hole. Excuse me. As the map function again fails me. Yep. Here we go. Black hole. So... And we got a science thing to research. That's great news. Okay. Jellicle Cat's 3.9. That's good. Rapid breeders, nutritional plenitude, and new life. See? Pushing it. Pushing it. That's probably going to drop whenever my new colony starts. And I think people are going to immigrate out, which isn't bad. I think it's going to hurt my overall growth. I think all the growth is going to go into a bucket. But it's going to be like a small... Well, I don't know. What is the math on that? Because, like... Yeah, that's not represented by raw people. It's just a negative and a malus. I might end up losing people from that now that I think about it. It's possible. I would like to think that it's sort of attenuated to minus 10%, plus 10%. Yeah. You get a minus 10% on one planet, a plus 10% on another planet. Like, that's going to be different. The bigger planet that has the malus is going to lose more population than the smaller planet gains it. So people will just be going into the void. But whatever. I know it's aggregate. So what the fuck? The fuck is this? It's goddamn marauders. Goddamn marauders on my border. Fuck me. Okay, well don't go back there again. Are you running away? I think you are running away. Right? Yeah. Good deal. Good job. Alright. So that means that my right flank is pretty secure. I don't know which of those other systems are going to have marauders in it. And I don't want my scientists to get shot at. And I'm not going to open up communications with those guys because they're going to start demanding shit of me. So yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not going to research them. Not going to talk to them. I'm just going to go the other way and just rest secure that side isn't going to be the source of too much trouble for me for a long time. Who knows? Maybe he'll take over as the Khan. I can do that thing where I follow behind him and I just pick up the worlds that he wrecks and grow that way. That'd be nice. But for now, I'm actually going to wrap it up. And, I'll be back a little bit later with all of this. What am I going to do here? Oh, man. Sure. Let me make this last decision. Diplomacy's good. I just don't have contact with anyone yet. I just don't think it's worth it. I think Harmony's going to give me my leader lifespan, which is going to offset my flaw. The guys are going to get jobs better. My resources are going to be down. Discovery's going to help me research things, though. Yeah. I'm kind of doing an explore phase right now, so that's what I'm going to do. So, I apologize if you're good at Stellaris and watching me play this hurts. But the pain will return soon. Later.